Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the final day of the Digital IT BPM Week 2020. So with today's session, we bring to a close a week of industry engagement with the next generation of IT professionals in Sri Lanka. I believe the knowledge sharing sessions this week has given some great insights into the industry in Sri Lanka to all the undergraduates who took the initiative to join us. Though the Digital IT BPM Week comes to an end today, we will be continuing our technical webinars on topics such as automation, AI through our forum of SLASCOM. And please join us in our social media platforms to get to know about these technical webinars, which is happening right throughout the week. Yeah. And I wish to thank all our knowledge partners who contributed their time in making the first ever Digital IT BPM Week a success. So this event would not have been possible without your contribution. Further, I must thank the team at EDB, ICTA, and FITIS for making this collaboration possible. And last but not least, I wish to thank the team at SLASCOM who put in a lot of time and effort in making the Digital IT BPM Week 2020 a reality. Without any further ado, let me invite the moderator and one of the speakers of the panel discussion, Anura Alwis. I hope, yeah, you're there. So over to you, sir. You can continue.
Thank you so much, Harry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good evening to all joining once again. Thanks for EDB, SLASCOM, ICTA, as well as FITIS for organizing this event with the knowledge partners we have. Some of them are on the panel discussion as well. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Anura Alwis. I'm having some speaking part here as well as on the moderation of this whole discussion. And I'm the CEO of Pyxle, and prior to that, I've involved in many startups and innovations. Let me now turn to Mr. Anura Dissanayake, who is the Secretary for Honorable Secretary for Ministry of Higher Education, Technology and Innovation, with his very busy schedule. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today, because without you, this wouldn't have been a full forum. Thank you so much. And secondly, we have Madu Ratnayake, who has been an industry leader and has been with Virtusa from private company to today's state of a public large enterprise. Madu Ratnayake is the Executive Vice President and CIO of the Virtusa Group, and he has many other positions. And more importantly, Madu has involved in industry as well as in the university at different levels of curriculum refinery, as well as on different other areas of curriculum development in university. So he has a very strong bond. Thanks, Madu, for joining. Let me now turn to Professor Lalith Gamage. He's very well known to those who have been from Morato University, has been in the university history. He's coming from public university, now it's on his own private university, very successful entrepreneur. He's a president, CEO of SLIIT. And there's one more important thing why Lalith is here. Lalith also is a board member of ICTA. So Lalith represents that as well. There will be some very important information that we will share with regard to that as well. So thank you so much, Professor Lalith Gamage. Let me turn to Charles. Charles Eugene is one of the senior lecturers, and prior to that, he is the head of the department in ICTA in Jaffna University. He's been having a lot of research experience and working with students and relationships for a long time. Been a known person in the IT industry, particularly in the Jaffna, and we wanted to make sure that we have the right forum here. And thank you, Charles, for accepting again, Dr. Charles Eugene from Jaffna, University of Jaffna. Finally, to you, Hasitha, who has been very, very accommodative. Most of the requests these days coming from schools, higher education, ministries, government, private enterprises. Hasitha, you take us in a long journey from coming as a Microsoft country manager. Hasitha Abeywardena is the country manager for Microsoft Sri Lanka and also Maldives. He's here as a complete ecosystem partner, and how he's going to help the universities, industry, and the government in this journey. With that, I have a little preamble. I wanted to bring everyone to a context of why we are having this discussion. Like Harry, a director of SLASCOM board, explained a while ago, we need to understand with this pandemic, everyone is talking about organizations and they all talk about how they go this journey together, and how do we develop ourselves, employees, all of that. But there is a very important part that has not been addressed so far. So we decided to address that together with SLASCOM, ICTA, EDB, and FITIS. That is about the university graduates, undergraduates, the parents who are seeking their children to be admitted to the university. What is going to be their future? What is going to happen after this? Will they have a journey that they can continue with ICT, or is ICT going to be a blind end for them? So I'm not going to answer any of that, but I'm going to give you some facts. The facts are very critical to understand before we jump into this conversation. Quickly, there is something called Global Resilience Index for those students and for parents and those who are joining. Just to explain quickly, the Global Resilience Index is prepared by a large risk management company called FM Global. They actually tell every year which country is resilient, which country is more ready for taking over these kind of pandemics or disasters and continue. In that ranking, Sri Lanka was ranked in 83rd position, whereas Norway was ranked #1 position. Let's give you, and also in the 10th position, USA. Now that tells how Sri Lanka's resilience to a disaster and this kind of situation. But if you look at COVID situation today, Sri Lanka is in 100th position. Actually, it has been 130, now 100. But if you look at Norway, Norway is in 53rd position. And USA is in #2, #3 position. Now, this will bring a big question. How come globally, as risk point of view, when the countries are recognized that, but they execute the plans differently and they go to very dangerous positions in terms of how they handle the pandemic? The simple reason why Sri Lanka is actually much ahead of them is because 3 factors. How government took the initiatives, the leadership, industry, and of course, the most important part here that is applicable for universities and the private and public education institutes. They come forward, they put the plan, and that is why we are doing much better management of this situation. Now you understand, A, why Sri Lanka is better in a high level, and secondly, why the universities, industries, the government get together, and we are trying to manage this situation, not only for business, but also for the universities and the education sector. With that note, I'll be turning to Madu. Madu, given the current situation, I know that you are heavily involved with different areas, the government and ICTA and industry. But in terms of the universities and education, what is your response to how we should react as an industry? Are you also looking at downturn of this industry, or are you looking at upturn, or is there opportunities? What is your first response to this situation, Madu?
Thanks, Anura. First of all, I hope everybody is safe and staying home, and thanks for inviting me to speak with you guys today. And I think it's unprecedented times, right? We haven't seen event of this scale, in the history of our lifetime. The last one happened a long while ago. And I think, that puts a lot of things into perspectives in how we should be looking at moving forward, right? I think one thing which is, while there's a lot of challenges in many countries, one of the things I think fundamentally happening is, which is going to us, is that more people are getting into digital work. There's a digital learning or digital remote or to collaboration like this. Think about this meeting that we are having today. We have 1,000+ people, and we wouldn't have think about doing this 3 months ago, right? And we wouldn't have, this wouldn't have happened, right? So the longer that I think we are in lockdown, I think the technology will start adapting faster, right? People will come up with more and new and innovative ways to really get over connecting us, right? We've seen that world has all of a sudden connected itself much more closely because of this, because the technology had enabled that, right? If you think about, there are 2 big things that we need to worry about in a pandemic, right? One is the lives. Obviously, we have to protect lives, and the second one is protecting the livelihoods, right? If you think about lives, our medical professionals are getting out there and getting in front and saving livelihoods, saving the lives, and the livelihoods today are largely saved by technology, right? And the IT guys are the ones who are really making sure the companies work and really in operation, businesses work, governments work. So, you think of IT in a pandemic like this, our medical professionals are our heroes, and the next heroes are really the protecting livelihood, which are IT guys, right? At least for our kind of work. So I think there is, it's creating a new demand for technology, right? It's creating an accelerating demand. If you look at banking, for example, right? There is a significant shift in people moving to digital bank. In fact, there's about 21% net new people are getting into digital banking in the last 8 weeks, right? So many areas, if you technology, entertainment, everybody's going digital, right? There's interesting saying, who drives your digital transformation, whether it's your CEO, CIO, or COVID, right? As clearly COVID is accelerating a lot of digital transformation. That's creating demand for professionals with technology expertise, right? I think this is probably a golden opportunity to companies to adopt technology to reduce costs and increase revenue. At the same time, people like us and a lot of the students and who are on the call today to create more opportunities. And with remote work, obviously now all of a sudden, you don't need to travel. Your opportunities will become significantly higher, even globally. And even if you come to Sri Lanka, we had a lot of the jobs IT jobs were concentrated around Colombo, right? Now we can go to whether it's a Jaffna or Candy or Goal. It's be a lot easier that people have mindset have changed, right? The technology has really paved the way. So I think I'm very optimistic. I think there will be tremendous amount of demand. Obviously, there will be short-term lull when everybody's kind of watching and seeing what's happening. There will be a lull period when every company is trying to adjust with any shock, right? As with any shock, people take a pause, right? And before they kind of come up. But the technology certainly has, industry is very resilient. We've seen things like global financial crisis. We've seen the dot-com crash. And through all these, fairly significant global scale disasters, technology kind of came in to save the day and to really help accelerate the livelihoods and the economies, right? So I think it's very important that we understand that and we see that future. And our strategy as an industry is to really use this time to accelerate, right? And I'll give you one example and close. When we drive, when we come to a bend, what we do is we put the brakes of a car to slow down and take the bend safe, right? But if you look at a race car driver, when they come into a bend, they accelerate, right? And it's called drifting the car. You accelerate and then what you're really looking at is how do you get out of the bend with a higher momentum, right? It's called drifting the curve. And I think this is exactly what we're trying to do. How do we really accelerate and drift the curve and come out of this pandemic with really Sri Lanka and becoming even more important in the global scale of digital transformation that the whole world will go through and Sri Lanka will go through. I think there's a fantastic opportunity for us in the coming years. You're on mute, Anura.
2 points that you highlighted. Thanks, Madu. 2 points you highlighted. One is about the drifting the curve. I'll come back to that later. The second thing is about the supply and the demand. And you said that, and you believed firmly that this is the best time and we should not worry, kind of thing. But I'm taking the side of the parents and the students and the social kind of problem. And now I'm turning with that, piggybacking Madhu's that angle or the aspect to Charles and ask this question. Charles, Dr. Charles, you're representing one of the government universities, one of the key universities in Sri Lanka, University of Jaffna, which is a great history. And in terms of, even though the industry say this, in terms of students' life, in terms of the education system in the university, do you think that this is a situation that you are concerned and as a management, as administration, or you want to tighten the marks and get less number of students? Are you going to respond to what industry or Madu said and make sure the numbers are high? Or how are you trying to strike the balance here?
Yeah, thank you, Anura. So good afternoon to all the panelists and the audience and the organizers. For this question, I agree with Madu. This is an opportunity for us. Not only opportunity, the frequency and the severity of these pandemics are accelerating. Say, if you look at the last 5-10 years, it's the bird flu, then the Ebola, and now this COVID-19. So we need to be prepared for the next one, and the education is the only way to sustain us. And as Madu said, we have to see this as an opportunity, especially these 2-3 months. We have the experience we got from these last 2 months. It shows us how we need to go, move forward. Let me share 2 screenshots. Yeah, this is the online learning in the last, I think, in the last, say, from March 23. So the user logins are 2 million, right? And the number of user sections is 95 million, right? And this is the learning management system accessed by the students in all the universities in Sri Lanka. And one more thing is you can see the screen, right? Sorry, I missed the screen. Yeah, this is the Zoom meetings the university academics and students conducted over the last, say, from May 16 to May 23. So at some points it's 20,000 users at some times, and say on average there were 10,000 users from from 6 p.m. to roughly 7 p.m. right, or even sometimes it goes up to 10 p.m. And so this is the learning management system usage of the students in all the state universities. Say roughly it's 2 million of the user logins and 95 million actions. So this gives us what is the way we need to move forward, especially the demand. Yeah, you said about the demand, and the institutions need to be operate continuously, even with a harsh lockdown. So they need to have a remote working capability, so that the IT can only provide that capability. So I have shown you these 2 graphs. Those were able because of the IT capabilities we already had in the state universities. So this need to be continued, and so I see this. This is going to be a greater demand for IT professionals in terms of management information systems for the institutions, state, private, inside the country and outside, as well as IT-related professionals. There should be a greater demand, and the problem here is how we going to achieve this. So there is going to be a demand, but how are we going to achieve this? So one way is continuing this this new learn patterns. In the last 2 months, we have sustained our teaching activities to some extent. So keep the momentum going and keep it part of the learning activities. Skill-based activities can be incorporated as an e-learning one on top of the regular learning. So especially English, IT, and communication skills. So these can be conducted as an e-learning on top of the regular learning activities. So students can learn on their own on free time. So we can get the top people from the country, and we can organize these e-learning sessions. Yeah, that one thing. And how the industry can help us. So we are conducting a course unit. It's called Emerging Trends in Technology. So we are conducting with the help of industry professionals. We are doing it through online. This is for our second year students. It's very much appreciated by the students and very well attended, and it's going on. So from this month onwards, we were conducting this. So we can accommodate this type of course units in our curriculum to make our graduates ready for the industry. And I think this would be our strategy to overcome these the problems we're facing at this moment. At the same time, we have to be concerned about something, because whether this technology is reachable for all the students. So working on that, say how we can accommodate or we can join all the students within this journey without leaving any one of the students. Say we have financial problems or the technology, say some student area in students, they don't have a proper internet connection. So we were trying to do our best to incorporate them as well. So that's it.
Thanks, Dr. Charles. And I think you're endorsing what Madu from industry say and what I was trying to elaborate on the first. Professor Lalith, Lalith, I'm turning to you. The question here is that, again, taking a lead from what Charles is saying, that no, it's an opportunity for universities. But of course, when you say an opportunity, that's always because there is a downturn in the economies and downturn in recruitment and downturn in what we do at industry and university both. So taking that into consideration, how do you think the private university sector, in terms of how the students and their financial and the social impact to their lives? That's number one. Number two is that, is this practical? The demand, if the demand goes high or if the demand goes down, how to manage this situation? Are you ready for managing this, Lalith, as a private? I know you can represent that as well as from ICTA point of view, both. But are you ready, and do you think private universities are ready to take this challenge, both managing the short-term pressure and long-term capacity?
Okay, I think I will. Thank you very much for inviting me again. Thanks, Anura, and thanks, EDB and the organizers. Good evening, everyone. I think the answer is, the question is rather, how do we manage this kind of problems? I think I must tell you, as a non-state institution, we don't have the luxury of getting the salaries at the end of the month given by someone else, right? So we have to finance ourselves. So in fact, when the problems occurred during April last year, we decided to have alternate ways of delivering our programs. So we were kind of prepared when this happened. So we decided to deliver all our lectures through online means, and we started doing that on the 18th of March. And we, in fact, did not lose a single day of classes. This is why we had a discussion with Mr. Dissanayake as well. How do we, accommodate this kind of, changes in a kind of a fixed framework is something that the systems will also need to be flexible to adapt to, changes like this. So in fact, then came the exams. Then people were asking whether exams could be, conducted online. But if you take, best practices from all over the world, whether it is Cambridge University or Stanford University or Harvard, this is the method that, that they have adopted, right? So the method is to deliver online, and either online exams, take-home exams, and today technology is there, to check whether a person is cheating or not, right? You can very confidently, because you have their previous assignments, their previous exams, right? If someone else is writing, you have artificial intelligence, you have tools to check whether someone is. So, that is how we have managed the situation, and students have not lost anything, and we are currently holding exams for all our students. And it is very encouraging to see that For certain exams, we have about 98% participation, and for the lowest one, we have got this 92%. So I think we are challenging. I think the other question that you are asking is about, okay, well, you are producing these graduates, and what about their future, right? And I think as graduates, we have gone through all kinds of, difficulties, and as others, Madu and Charles spoke, I think these are temporary things, right? Obviously, if there is a delay in getting employment, I think there are other things that the graduates could do. One thing is, you can do postgraduate programs. You can get involved in research. You can start up your own company, right? And as an institute, we have an incubator. We provide even funds for our, good graduates to start their own companies and also to prototype what they have developed during their, undergraduate time. So there are research grants that students could apply and, work with the staff to develop, solutions or, innovative products. The other thing is, I think we have been talking with industry as well, SLASCOM and also FITIS, to provide some sort of industry orientation. When, as you know, when a fresh graduate is recruited, you need to give them, an orientation or training so that he could, be productive. So why don't we do that now? So I think the challenge that the companies have is, we understand the challenge. It's all about finances, right? So I think the challenge, so how do we mitigate that is, okay, maybe we have this together jointly as joint exercise with the universities and the industry, and they could provide internships and we could provide content, or some companies may decide to give an allowance, some companies may say, look, you're getting a training. But at the end of this period, as Madu said, I think there is going to be a boom, right? A lot of companies are trying to develop e-commerce solutions. You're trying to integrate your supply chain. You're going to, talk to your, customers, integrate your customers, right? And moreover, I think what is happening right now is, even from the government side or the company side, how do we enhance this work from home methodology, right? Do we really need to go to work, right? So if 50% of your workforce can be working from home, right? Obviously, you need to have IT solutions, right? For there'll be a lot of demand for these, whether it is companies, whether it is education institutes like us. We have invested heavily into our IT infrastructure and solutions because we know that this is the way to go, right? So in terms of, job opportunities, I don't think there's going to be an issue. There'll be a small, probably, but I think, that will be, smoothed out, and I think there'll be more demand in time to come. Anyway, you need graduates. As an institute, why do we want to have this methodology? And a lot of questions. I know even parents talk to us and say, can't you wait another 2 months, 3 months? I say, why do you want to wait? I want our graduates to be first out of the gate so that they are first in the line, right, to get the job. So I think that's the kind of attitude that we have. And anyway, you need graduates to rebuild the economy, right? You can't, without graduates, if you delay this, you're delaying the rebuilding the economy part as well. So overall, I think it is a challenge. Every challenge is an opportunity, right? If you look at that way, I think they have many opportunities, and we are sourcing top-notch Sri Lankan and others from overseas to deliver lectures to our students. It has never happened before, but it was possible. It is this situation that gave us that opportunity. Okay, so I'll stop there and maybe we can have a discussion. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lalith. I think that was inspirational in terms of education, as well as there's something else that I want to surface, Lalith, about you in the next round. I'll get that. But I think that was a very good answer in terms of private sector universities and in terms of educationist point of view. Mr. Dissanayake, I think you can hear me. From representing as an Honorable Secretary for the Ministry of Higher Education, Innovation and Technology, and also involved in a number of other initiatives, and also being a government servant for many, many years from your history. How do you react to this as a government? What is the government policy in supply and demand management? How do you plan to engage with the industry, with the universities, both private and government? What is the risk mitigation strategy? What is your plan from the ministry point of view? I'm not asking a lot of details, but do you have a plan, and what is that plan?
All right. First of all, let me thank SLIIT for inviting me at this very important forum, and Anura, thank you for particularly inviting me to join this great opportunity of talking to 1,000-odd enthusiastic young people in this country. As we all know that, we were just, it's a new government had been formed, and then we were ready with the president's manifesto, where he promised the people that, he will ensure that all these A-level qualified students will be given the opportunity of some form of education. So we were in the forefront of how to organize and then facing that challenge, and then we ended up with this COVID-19 situation, which led us suddenly shutting down the system. And as you know, the Ministry of Education, Higher Education is working with the three segments. One is the national university system, where the state universities are, and then we are working with SLIIT, the private and non-state education institutes, that is amounting to about 223 institutions, and then we have another set of universities which are state-owned, and we compete, like NSBM, NIBM, and then SLT campus. These. So there's all these. We are representing entire higher education segment, and so we immediately took this as a challenge that we had to face, and then so President from the top, also President immediately formed a presidential task force on Sri Lanka's education affairs. So when he was entrusted us with to find immediate solutions for all the approximately 6.5 million students, I'm saying from the secondary, junior secondary, higher secondary, and then university, 6.5 million people who are not engaged in workforce but in the learning, and to come up with. The results were beyond our expectation. Like others, we were just struggling how to we put students into the engaging in education, some kind of education through distant mode, and then universities were the pioneers. They took immediately activated their unutilized infrastructures, and then luckily we had this infrastructure, but we were not utilizing proper. And so the Dr. Charles is talking about state university system, and if we take the entire university system, as of today, 65% of the total population is online. And so this, so that's a significant size out there have not been able to reach due to outreach, or they due to internet access and devices, things like that. But for a sudden intervention like this, achieving 65% of the student community is something we should admire. And then private education universities also, there's different players with the different line of the progress, but we immediately put everyone together. Now every day we talk about the progress, and then we manage. And apart from that, I see that this is the first time we are working together. Earlier I was serving the secretary as a secretary minister of education, and we were working on that silo, and then private international schools were doing their business, and then universities are doing different. But this task force put all of us together, and we are talking now the private universities, state universities, and then SLIIT is helping us to get the lessons learned from this exercise to be introduced to the system. So IT integration system is supported by the industry. So like others, I'm joining the others same way. This is just a short shock that we are going to face. But we see great opportunities. We, in fact, this next academic year, students, we will not wait till the university cycle starts in the end of the year, but we are starting 6 months prior to bringing them to university system. We are starting them with this English program and IT programs online, and some of the school centers we are opening and trying to get them to some practical, so that every university will be offered 6 months prior to formal university gathering. They will be getting ready for required IT and other skills. So it's I'm glad that I have given this opportunity with this environment, so that I have a better footing to take off.
So, Mr. Dissanayake, actually, you said something brave. So, because of you said that previous department or the institute you work with and difficulty, and now. So, with that brave statement, I'm also asking a brave question from you. That is coming from the forum. In fact, the simple question: are these private sectors and the government institutes that you're working with, are they collaborating with you? They're asking yes or no.
Yes.
There's a question coming.
And Professor Lalith is there. He will.
Can I say that I think the Ministry of, we are collaborating heavily. In fact, prior to this meeting also, we were discussing how things and how the Ministry of Education is taking decisions really fast now. We want this system, the system that we have developed, to be adopted by or to be accepted by the Ministry of Education. Traditionally, it would have taken ages, but he said within the next week, the solutions will be provided to us. So I think what we need is, this kind of flexible, outward-looking organization, so that we have the ability, or we are given the power to develop new things, and those new things are accepted by the authorities.
Absolutely. I'm actually, Lalith, I knew the answer, but because it came from the forum, I wanted to make sure that it comes from the forum itself, the panelists itself. So I'm turning to you, Hasitha. I think now everyone is talking about, from Madu to Professor Lalith Gamage to Dr. Charles to Mr. Dissanayake and myself. We all talk about, situation is really opportunistic. Even we know that from the numbers itself, Sri Lanka is progressing, and Mr. Dissanayake, all credit to some of the leadership, you and rest of the government, and also to the private sector, that how we handle this situation. But it means that needs infrastructure. Like everyone said very clearly, two things: we need right infrastructure, we need people to have the skills. Now I'll park the skill problem to a next round, but I'll go with the infrastructure problem. Hasitha, it's not an easy thing, right? Everyone is demanding, everyone is asking, and everyone saying it's a Microsoft. You have to jump in and try to do everything free sometime, from higher education, and also I know that you go to schools and the normal education system as well. But particularly talking about higher education and private institutes, you're trying to be. I think you're trying to these days. Microsoft is wearing a hat, and with that hat, you'll have to do a lot of things free. And is it practical? Are you ready to do this? What is your commitment to Sri Lanka, Hasitha?
Okay, thanks a lot, Anura. Thank you very much for the opportunity, EDB, SLASCOM, and the panelists. I think it's a great initiative to bring the entire ecosystem together. I mean, the academia, the officials like Mr. Dissanayake and yourself, Madu, in the industry, and also the platform providers, companies like us who has been. So this is, okay, so can I also make a comment before answering your question, right? I think we've talked about the opportunity clearly. It's not, and the country, I think we, in terms of as a country, as individuals, we managed to, it's an opportunity for us to reset ourselves. Our perspective of life has changed, right? Perspective of work has changed. Perspective of the country, we're today proud that the resilience we have, and then we were not running about like headless chicken. We have a nice way of responding to something like this, right? And actually setting an example to the rest of the world, so to speak. So I think this is probably the 10th time this forum is hearing, but it's so much a valuable quote from Sir Winston Churchill, right? They never let a good crisis go away. I think after the World War and during the World War, he said this comment, and we would like to kind of remind this to ourselves as a nation. I think after finishing the war, I would say we had an opportunity, we grabbed to some extent. I don't know whether we maximize it, but we have another opportunity after 10 years exactly, right? And I think, like Madu pointed out, I mean, how fast we can take this turn would define us as a nation, right? And I think that's where the great opportunity is. And that will, so when we look at as a company, Satya, who is our CEO, who transformed the company within last 5 years, you know about that story. That's another good session we need to have to figure that out. But I mean, as a country, as an organization, it does not change. It's all about the leadership we provide. And I'm so happy that, these leaders are got together here to provide the leadership to the people. I guess there is a fairly big forum after the 5 days of events organized by EDB and SLASCOM, listening to us to understand how bullish are we, where the opportunity is, and this is all about leadership. We look at this in terms of digital transformation. I think Madu touched on it. You said that COVID is a digital transformer, right? It's not the CIO, it's not the CEO, it's well said. So we see this unprecedented challenge which we have, which kind of broken down completely the supply and demand ecosystem from both ends. So as an organization, we feel when the world comes back to, we have a new word called new norm, this is going to get literally differently wired, right? People would look at the people, I mean, any organization today would be boldly look at making changes. You would be very worried that the unions and the employees and the customers and the partners will worry about this. Today, you are in crisis. You've got to change, and that's an opportunity to change, right? Same with our education system, right? And let's look at when we come out of this, where are we going to be in the ecosystem? So in terms of we need to look at what is relevant to the students who are today talking to us into the education system, right? I think Madu and you can, Anura, keep me honest here. We have been talking about a $1 billion IT industry increase into $5 billion. And then we have been shifting that goalpost as we go through year and year. And we all understand the issues around that. We have a $4 billion thereabout income from the tourism, which is great, right? Which is completely impacted. And I think we will fastly go through that turn, so to speak, to get it back. Then we have $5 billion on apparel. But net inflow from that 5 billion, because we probably export 75 to 80%, because we don't have the raw material. So it's a net of $1 billion or whatever net income. Agri, $3 to $3.5 billion. Where is our biggest income? I think the people who are students who are listening should hear this. I make it an opportunity to point it out, right? 8 billion plus of our income, which we use to run this country, comes from those million odd workers, mostly under very unacceptable conditions, working in those Middle East and the rest of the country. That's $8 billion, guys, right? So we, as an opportunity today, I'm saying it can't be done tomorrow, but do we teach the right thing? Do our students, the university students, learn the right skills? Because whilst we're saying we're still exporting people for the low skill job, Madu is going out to India to recruit people. Maybe, Aruna, you are looking at India because you don't have one capacity, nor the required skills. Why is that gap? And I think this forum is here to fill that gap. So that's my opening. In terms of investment, I would say for a company like us, let me be very frank, right? Why would we do? I mean, we didn't just wake up to the COVID and started talking to Mr. Dissanayake and got this MOU going with education. We have been doing this for the last 15 years, 16 years. Why? IT is all about education, right? We said education is the biggest equalizer earlier. You can add IT to that. IT is going to be the biggest equalizer. Immaterial of which part of the country you come, whether it's east, west, north, south, or wherever, the poorest places, if you have education, if you have IT around you, you're going to make it, right? That's my message to the team. Now, why we as an organization would invest? Of course, we have a duty to put back. But if you look at it we are as good as the country we are operating in, right? No, so Sri Lanka, to give you an idea, for the emerging markets, we do Sri Lanka, Microsoft Sri Lanka is a showpiece or a center of excellence, right? So we export people. We have a great partner ecosystem like Virtusa or Pyxle, or I can name so many, right? We are exporting IT. So we are as good as the economy we are operating in for a company, right? So it makes a sense for us to invest in this infrastructure. And this time was our time. And I thought, we did our best, I think, with the help of the Ministry of Higher Education as well as Ministry of Education. We managed to kind of deploy this platform. Already the schools are using it. That's just one step, right, to make sure that go. But I think the bigger discussion today should be, when we make those investments, how do we recoup that for the country, right? How do we get the education, right education going, and change that equation from the people, unskilled workers, going to Middle East, or people who are kind of now getting into apparel industry, or a boy who gets out and drive a three-wheeler. How can we change the education system and educate them right through our channels and expand on that to jumpstart a new economy? That's where our biggest opportunity is, that, right? And as an organization, we have also shown the world that we can be a very reliable nation, right? Whether it's in apparel or whatever, we managed to take controls to our hand. So that's a great strength, I think, when you look at IT exports and all that, right? That's a huge strength, because our resilience, our BCP plans, we've been able to do that. And in apparel, our advantage has been the quality, niche in quality. We can really play that game. So coming back, investment from our side is made for a reason, for our organization. But I think it is an important opportunity we have. I don't think we should lose any amount of time grabbing this opportunity. We can be another Israel. I mean, it's 7 million people, right, who were pushed to a corner after the World War II, and look at what they have done. And any country have that opportunity. I think we should go and grab it. And I have no worried about the jobs. There will be enough jobs in IT, in local and export industries. There will be enough companies who want to reinvent themselves around IT, and there will be enough, right? And if we can get together, we can kind of do this internships and all that what is needed for students. Bigger worry I have is how fast we can change our system. How do we change our intake from arts to more towards STEM and more towards this thing? Those are the real things. And organizations like us, or Google, or AWS for that matter, anyone who is recouping this benefit of it, right, would be very interested in investing in this country on commercial reason. And I think that's where we need to look at in terms of investment. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hasitha. Thank you for giving explanation and also the preamble to that, and then also being honest with why the reasons for investing here. I think those who are listening now on the first round, or if you missed anything on the first round questions were more targeted at understanding the problem, and whether as an undergraduate or graduate or passing out student or someone seeking admission for the university system, should I worry to undertake ICT degree? Now, the first round very clearly from industry, from infrastructure giants like Microsoft, from ministry and government, everything combined, and the private education system, all combined answer is, firstly, no, there's no such worry. In fact, there's a big demand, there's a big opportunity coming. So those who are watching, students and parents, your worry has to go away right now in the first round, because that's the whole idea of making sure that, to show that how much we align as industry, university system and government. With the beginning of the second round, thanks to all panelists on the first round, the beginning of the second round, I think I take that Madu's part that I parked earlier, lifting the curve. he was talking about the race drivers and how do you take the opportunity. I think that's exactly what I wanted to start this round with. Because if you look at most of the people, if you look at the stock exchange, even they shut down a couple of days, but there were some statements on LinkedIn and different social media saying, look, if you want to buy stocks, this is the time to buy. The same day, drifting the curve or the drifting the car thing comes in, because this is a golden opportunity not only for students and the graduates to look for jobs. And I feel this is a golden opportunity because of the infrastructure and a lot of free things provided, even to do the innovations. To give an example, in the 2002 recession time, a personal example of mine, I can remember, or a little bit of recession compared to actually having the snowball effect coming from 1998 time. And that was the time that it started, and the start of iWork, we built the product for 2 years. When we started this 2002 towards the end, we went massive change and started a big company and actually served one of the largest global telco providers. I won't mention the name. It's one of the largest ones. Madu, do you know this story, right? So that was an opportunity how we can take. So those who are listening and watching, it's not only for studies, it's not only for waiting in the university system. Like Professor Gamage said, that there are opportunities, incubators created, the infrastructure created. There's also golden opportunity for students, for you, for parents to influence your students or your children to start thinking something out of the box. Because Sri Lanka, like Hasitha said, I mean, if Israel can do it 7 million, why can't we do? They are providing 80 countries from military to all the innovations to AI. So why can't we do, right? With that entry, I'm turning to you, Madu. Now we have 150,000 workforce, and all of us talked about, and all of you talked about, well, we need more. Despite the pandemic, despite this short to medium term impact, you need more. Madu, we have 150,000 workforce today. So how do we skill, from industry point of view, how do we build this rapidly? What is our commitment? And we are the biggest Sri Lankan and one of the largest companies in the region. What is the industry and your commitment, Madu? How do we do this?
Yeah, so let me kind of share a few thoughts, right? I think the first and foremost, going beyond the jobs a little bit. And I think this is a tremendous time to learn anything, right? Whether it's learning IT or science or photography or how to paint, to do yoga, do whatever else that you want. There is a tremendous amount of learning available now, literally free, right? And if it's not, it's very cheap, right? I was looking at a Wharton digital transformation course, right? It's coming at like $2,000, right? If you had to travel there to do that and do all, it would have cost like a easily, $30,000 thing that will come to that, right? So there's so much opportunity to learn and really something we all should embrace, right? And I think it's Bill Gates who said that in online learning, everybody has a front seat row in the class, right? Because everybody's get full attention, right? So that the second part is that, right? The first part is there's tremendous amount of learning. We should go and embrace that. It's the people who take the initiative. The second part is really going online can help us accelerate and increase the capacity, right? Not only, Lalith talked about and Dr. Charles talked about, Mr. Dissanayake talks about how the education system has adapted online learning very rapidly and very quickly to teach the kids who are already in there. Now think about, with that capability, I think you can easily expand our university education to 20-30% more people, right? With the same capacity. Now you have a lecturer who's sitting in and teaching, whether it's teach 10 people or 20 people or 200 people, it's the same effort, right? And then really, if you kind of figure this out properly and build it, now all of a sudden we can have a mixed mode education. You can't go fully online, and I don't think you can completely do a degree 100% online just yet. But I think we can very easily, if not double, but at least 30% university capacity can be increased. That has been one of our challenges. For many years, there are enough and more people who are passing A levels, qualified to go to university, but we don't have the capacity, right? And that's why a lot of the institutes like SLIIT and others have come in to kind of address some of that stuff. But now all of a sudden, think about, if you are bringing, 30,000 kids into university system, next year we shall bring 40,000 people without doing anything significantly more, right? So I think this is a fantastic opportunity for us to expand our education to a broader group and to Anura, to your point, create more opportunities for people to go higher value things that Hasitha was talking about, right? Instead of doing low case. So that's the second biggest thing. I think it also creates new ways of employment. We think about gig work, where freelance work, as the more of the world is open to now working from anywhere. Now whether you are doing a job, if you're doing a job from home in the US, right, that same job can be done by somebody from home in Sri Lanka, right? And it says no need for now to be bounded by the geographic boundaries, right? And these trends were happening before slowly, and what COVID has done is accelerated that, right? So you now really online learning get accelerated, online jobs get accelerated, right? And real-time learning get accelerated in your, even when you have a job, how do you reskill, upskill? So there is I think there is a tremendous opportunity for us to expand and also to go upskill and go to the next level. And I think what is really important is, I think what in a crisis like this is what Charles Darwin said, right? It's not the strongest who would survive this. It's the species who's most adaptable, right? So we really have to think about how are you adapting, right? How are you really changing your ways of work, whether as an individual or whether as a university, whether as a company, whether as a collective, right? As a country, how do we adapt to this, right? I think we have been given a fantastic opportunity. I think we have to think about how we adapt as an individuals, as a country together.
Thanks, Madu, for great points. First is about learning anything right now free, I guess. I think I would not hesitate to say Madu free, because it's, no price, most 99% of things. And secondly, you said about the taking to the next level. Now, taking from that, and also what Mr. Dissanayake, you said earlier, you said also the similar thing that, it's time for us to build more capacity. And we can create that industry bigger, because Madu and we were struggling for many years, maybe more than 10 years, to increase our capacity as an IT industry, because firstly, we want to get the opportunities here. Secondly, that we want to increase the GDP of the country. Now, Mr. Dissanayake, turning to you and taking from that point, Madu also said that when you come to building the capacity, is all about how we are prepared from, particularly from education system, and to cope up with these demands. From ministry and government policy point of view and upskilling these graduate workforce, you need the e-learning capacity, not just the literacy, but the illiteracy, I would call it. So how much of first you think that, what percentage of higher education is online today? How can we increase this? Because all talk about increasing capacity. Are you ready to cope up with that? Do you have programs? And also the other side is, when you come to lecturers and the teachers, how can we upskill them? Because that's a big problem. Mr. Dissanayake, over to you.
Right. Yes, if we just take this academic year, we are about to start the academic year some in October, where generally the normal years in the last year, we have taken 32,000 students to the public university system out of 180,000 who qualified the advanced level examination. And with this new adjustment, that is, we are not, as you know, that we will not be able to transform within such a short period totally for online. We have a blended. We are offering blended education system program for this academic year, and then already we have planned and we have identified from each university the expanded number of students to be taken from this particular academic year, and which is amounting to 7,500 additional capacity will be built immediately with October intake. So that is almost 40,000, 38,000 to 39,000 will be accommodated. And then with this year's O-level examination results, what we are planning this exam to be sit, and then immediately after the examination, before coming the results or anything, we'll be launching this a 6 months GELT. There's an English language skill program with IT program, so that the students who are waiting for the results will be engaged through distant mode. That is one. And then this open university system, where we have this arm of open university, we have the distant learning mode. Then we are working with where the product line, different products will be coming, different menus will be offered, and they're working on it. And we intend to expand the present 40,000 student capacity of the open university system to 100,000. So this is I'm talking of this coming academic year. So these are very promising numbers, and then we are really willing to work. And then with the private university system, every year, while the local university system is absorbed by 32%, 22,000 people goes abroad for higher education, and then approximately 25 to 27 to universities, about 25,000 will be joining the non-state sector university system. So that capacity of non-state sector university systems capacity from 25,000, we are hoping within 3 years to increase to 60,000. So next year we are thinking, the system will absorb additional because there are a lot of infrastructure support they need. Some of the universities are not really geared and invested on learning management systems and things like that. So we are hoping that they will absorb around 7,000 to 8,000 new. And then dynamic people like Professor Lalith, Gamage, and there's other people. Now we are working on the returnees from these overseas education. The 17,000 people, students who were studied overseas had come back and coming back. So for immediate years, we are now working with this system is identifying the number of credits and how to link them with our private universities, or to link with the universities that they are working to get their credits. So these are some work that we are working with the private universities, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the higher education. So in numbers, there'll be significant number will be absorbed and increased.
So Mr. Dissanayake, so what I'm hearing is that all great news in terms of capacity, but in terms of the infrastructure or to get to the learning systems, I heard that also you said learning management system. I'm really happy to hear from a kind of secretary that honorable secretary that you're fully aware of that. So are we as a government ready to go and gear up with those, and are we looking into that? Are we still researching, or we are thinking about it?
Right. Okay. Now see, there's some huge capital infusion have to be done,
right.
And so we have two. One is immediate. The other one is the medium-term investment plan. And already yesterday we are in the final rounds of discussion with Asian Development Bank and World Bank, and what they do is, they are restructuring the ongoing projects, and they're taking some money out and giving to us and so this afternoon we were having a Zoom meeting with Manila ADB headquarters, and diverting some funds to improve some of the infrastructure. So immediate things will be coming up, and then long-term plan. We are working with industry, and SLASCOM is helping us, and then the IT device manufacturers companies and networking companies. They are all helping us to develop the proposal. And then we are hoping to submit the proposal to President. The deadline President has given us is to submit the proposal by the second week of June. So that will help us to secure the medium-term investment plan.
Fantastic. All great news. I'm quite sure all the students or parents watching this must be fantastic news. Thank you so much, Mr. Dissanayake. Lalith. Professor Lalith Gamage, I wanted to ask you two quick questions. One is to get this future-ready workforce as a private sector university and one of the leading educationists, taking your ICTA and other hats away, but particularly on the education side hat. Are you ready to gear up this challenge and workforce and the skills? Do we have the right skills? Because the skills today may not be the tomorrow skills. Example, just pure software development versus AI or things like RPA. There are skills differences happening. So are we ready to take this challenge? And as a private university head, are you ready? Number one. Number two is coming from the forum. A question to you, I think is appropriate. Have we done enough research to decide what should be the content and how should we deliver this content through the learning management systems? Lalith, you.
Okay, so I'll thank you. So I'll ask the first question. It's always the responsibility of an institution to produce high quality, relevant graduates, right? If your graduates, particularly if you are from the non-state sector, right, fee-levying institution, if you do not produce quality graduates, they will not be employed and there won't be any new students joining, right? So that whole cycle takes care of them. But what do we do, right? I think a lot of people think that advancing knowledge, learning, classroom learning, getting material from a book or from internet or whatever the means. So advancing knowledge that, that itself is, full education. But in my opinion, that is about, 60 to 70% of education, right? The balance part comes from other skills. These are the graduate attributes that we talk about. So the balance part is ability to think, right? Ability to communicate and ability to integrate. Let me explain that a little bit, right? Ability to think is you learn something in the classroom or however, right? And how do we apply this knowledge, right, to a real world problem? And when you try to apply that knowledge to a real world problem, you will see that you don't have enough knowledge. You need to go back and learn, right? It is not just one way. Now you have the urge to learn. So you go back and learn, right? So this way, sometimes when you try to do this, what you have learned may have become irrelevant. So you may have to unlearn some of that stuff and relearn. So this whole process continues and you become, as you said, future ready, you're relevant current graduate, right? Or professional. Why I say ability to communicate other than the obvious, that is, you need to communicate what you have developed and so on, right? To all stakeholders. But communication is a two-way process. You need to be able to absorb new material, right? So that is also communication. And you also learn by integrating with the society, in order to develop solutions that are relevant and applicable, appropriate, you need to be fully integrated with the society. So that is, if you have those skills, in addition to what you have learned, right?
Yep.
You become a, relevant future ready graduate, right? So remind me, the second question was?
Second question coming from the forum, they're asking, now, when we speak about learning management systems, have we done enough research to build the content that should be delivered?
I think it's a very good question. We have actually separate department, right? Before lecturers develop content, they have to go through a process, right? How to retain what is delivered. So traditionally, if you deliver something, the retention is less than 10%. So there are techniques to improve the retention of the listener, of the material that you delivered. Right. So that training process happens and we continuously take down. So we have a quality assurance process, right? We have thousands of lectures and there is a team that is going through all these lectures and says that, okay, this lecture is not good. You have to take this lecture down and redo it. So that is the process that we adopt to make sure that, this is audio quality, video quality, material, presented, all that is taken into consideration when we develop content.
Right.
To what Professor Gamage was saying, I think this is probably one industry where the education system and the industry works so much hand in hand. I think, there's a very constant dialogue. There's a lot of collaboration on curriculum, less collaboration on teaching, internship. Of students coming out, I think is probably one of the highest in any field, I think, right? So
Absolutely.
I think that's really something that I've seen over the years, that lecturers are very passionate, and the students are very passionate, the industry is very passionate around education, right? And I've seen this, whether it's the public or any type of education system we have in Sri Lanka. We are so blessed to have those educators and the professors and the lecturers who are very passionate about teaching.
So if I may add, I think that industry university working together is very, very crucial, because I was talking about, going back to my earlier point, developing, solutions that are relevant and, appropriate. So how do we get that? How do students get that knowledge? How do they know that what they are developing is relevant? That, that comes from, by spending time in industry, doing internship, doing training, and industry people working on various committees of the university. So this interaction is very, very crucial, right?
Thanks for bringing up that
point to Anura, if you don't mind, 1 second. There's a
sure.
great quote I thought would be useful for our audience, what Professor Gamage was saying earlier, right? This quote is from a futurist called Alvin Toffler, very famous futurist, and he said the illiterate of the future is not the people who can't read or write, it's the people who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? It's about, in a continuous flux, how do you learn and adapt, right? Things are changing so fast. It's very important that we take learning not in the university only, but as a lifelong skill that you embrace, right? That's why it's, I think, a very important thing that we are talking about.
Thank you so much, Madu. I think that's unlearning. I believe personally also, Madu, unlearning is the most difficult thing a human being, because that's a very difficult thing, and that's a very true statement. And going back to you, Professor Gamage and Madu both, I was talking to Mr. Dissanayake on this week, and I was just confirming that how much of industry industry university boards that are kind of companies are taking part, the career fairs, all of that. No other industry we have seen this kind of collaboration. So I think it's a golden opportunity for us to relook at our content, how we deliver, and better to suit the future. I think that's the bottom line. I'm turning to you, Dr. Charles, going to the final round on this rounds to you. When you look at the government university system in terms of funding and getting these things in place, I know, and particularly from Jaffna as well, from a distance from Colombo, how do your university system see this, how to solve this? Because do you have the right resources? Do you have the right, the reason I said Jaffna is sometimes it's a distance, you don't know how many capacity you have in terms of lecturers as well as the resource persons to deliver courses. Do you have the right kind of capacity? Do you have the right funding? Do you have the right support from the industry as well as from the government institutes?
Yeah. So in terms of support, say we have adequate support from the government, from the industry. We are getting adequate support. Yeah, of course, the funding we need to have. We need more funding, say, due to this the lapse of these 30 years of work. There was a considerable effect on the of the university. We have to think about the present situation, and the present situation, the funding should be directed towards the improvement of the e-learning mechanism, both towards the students as well as the teachers. The students need to be equipped with basic equipments to consume online materials, to engage the online learning, as well as the teachers to deliver. Say at the moment, say teachers can return to the university, so they can do it from their offices. It's not an issue now. But we need to have some sort of, say, special equipments for the online learning. And these facilities we can think of as a whole. It's say not. For example, this Zoom facility we are providing to all the universities. So it acquired by the LEARN. Say the LEARN, you may know about this. LEARN is a consortium owned by all the universities, and they are looking after the IT services, especially the internet traffic. It's handled through the LEARN. So we have a very good internet connection to the university, and there's no issues with that. And this service Zoom we acquired in as a grant last year, say, and it was not used. Now you can use, say, during the 9-12 period, it's very hard to find a slot to conduct a Zoom's meeting. So this type of initiatives can be done. Say, for example, one more thing is this research journals. As a country, we can think of obtaining the whole research journals for all the universities. Developing contents, e-learning contents, adequate especially from the industry perspective, and sharing it with all the universities. So these can be looked into the funding, and these fundings can be improved in many ways, as Honorable Secretary said. The starting the university entrance from the day they have got selected, we can start the online learning, especially the English, communication skills, IT, and other skill development activities. Students can engage. If they need some sort of a training to start with, they can we can do it from the regional universities. Any students selected for any universities, they can go to the nearest regional university, get this basic training, and they can start learning from the first day of once they got selected. And this once we have developed an adequate learning, it can be used for various purposes. As the Secretary said, we can engage with more students, say external students. We can deliver the content to external students to improve them in their quality. So as Hasitha said, we can improve the school leavers to some good level, so they can look and going for the basic ones.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, I think, Dr. Charles, from you is that yes, we have the right level of industry support and the tools, and I think I think you're looking at increasing the numbers and the capacity and the learning systems. You need to develop the content, but I'm sure that what I heard was that working with the ministry that you will be able to do that. So there's no roadblock right now.
So we are, say, the academics are also in the learning curve. Say this
right.
Learning method is, says for many it's a new initiative. So they are also learning, and so in the coming months, so they will be able to produce better learning content.
A lot of unlearnings and learnings here as well. I'm turning to the So Madu, yes.
If you don't mind, if I had a quick point, maybe this is probably some of this is already happening. Now every university is kind of creating content and trying to go online, right? And I think we also have a tremendous opportunity to collaborate, right? If you are, if SLIIT is teaching AI, it's the same AI that we will teach in every other university, right? One good thing about IT technology is that whether it's, taught in Harvard or Sri Lanka or India, it's the same content, right? The same. So if we can really maybe look at more systematically doing that. I know some universities are already doing that. I know SLIIT is doing that, opening up their curriculum teaching. This way we can probably accelerate. We can get if I just stay with the AI example, get the top 3 professors in AI in the country together and then build one content that can be used by any university, right? And maybe at least for a percentage of stuff, we should be able to think about accelerating that. Instead of everybody trying to build the same content everywhere. There might be something.
I think Madu, the practicality part of that is, now if you look at any foreign university, if you're delivering some doctor or professor, someone's book, the electronic content is used in the system, right? Doesn't matter which university, the lecturer or the instructor, they call it, they use the same content, e-content produced by whoever the author. So I think, taking your point, what is the difficulty and roadblock for us to get together and develop the content that is required and make that ebook? That's your question, I guess.
That's right. And more than ebook, how do we get our best professors?
Absolutely, yeah, that's right.
Right, in front of the whole country, instead of just maybe in one university, a bunch of people, right? So, everybody get the best lecturers, best professors, whichever university they are in.
This is a wonderful idea, and I'm asking Dr. Lalith Gamage, Professor Lalith Gamage, and others. Let's talk about this point, because this will be a great opportunity, rather than trying to do separately, but trying to get all these
best content.
Maybe SLIIT can also just help us on just maybe pooling these things.
Definitely, we take that.
Yes, I think it's a great idea, and I think it's not just local universities. And I think what we are trying to build is, we are, in fact, this initiative has kind of taken place now. So we have built something known as Honorary Professor Network. So we have contacted, Sri Lankan professors who are working in top-notch universities worldwide to come and work together, and this has created more opportunities for us to tighten that network and get their services. So in fact, this is happening, and I'm glad that Madu brought this up.
And on top of it, say just only this the content, we need to develop mechanisms to incorporate this content into our teaching learning curriculum. And on especially the evaluation method, we can't rely, we can't stay with the old-fashioned paper-based evaluation method. So we have to move on to better strategies, incorporate learning content from other academics, or even there are courses and there are lots of AWS educated or lots of online course providing institutions. If available, we can get those content as well to incorporate into our curriculum.
Yeah, Dr. Charles, actually, just to close the loop, if we can build the best content, like all of us talking, and making that available for every university, and if we have a difficulty teaching that content, what makes it different with this technology? We can do it remotely. If one of the Sri Lankan doctors or professors living in whatever the country, the other side of the world, this is a technology, we can give the course online. So I think we've got to a great point. Mr. Dissanayake, we need to, I think, SLIIT, and we need to talk about this outside the offline, this topic. Coming to the last question of the whole forum, which is getting to 5 minutes before we wind up the forum. Hasitha, it's a limited time, I'm sorry but I wanted to ask you, as a giant in the industry, giant in the infrastructure, giant in the technology, Microsoft, how do we help to build these skills that we talk about all this time, the building our teachers, the education system? What expertise we can access from Microsoft? How can you help as a giant to this 22 million population?
Great, thanks, and good points, right? I mean, the learning is not a one-time thing; it's a lifetime thing, right? I think it's a behavior we could inculcate among all of us, right? Not only students. So let me be very specific so that we can actually follow up this, and also people, as in the students and the parents who are listening, would exactly know where to go, how to get engaged. I talked about a few areas we are engaged now, and I maybe it's finally in a formal way. Now we are providing, which is available for students anyway, but our software for remote learning, right? Or for that matter. So that is the Office 365 Suite for education is given free of charge. Now what Ministry of Education and Ministry of Higher Education has done it is that they have made it secure and more organized, right? It's not having the software tool which makes the difference, how we organize ourselves to utilize that tool as an education tool. That's number one. So Dr. Charles, I think you were talking about getting grants to buy software. You don't need to do that anymore. It's free, right? Number two is a platform. Today, you don't need, I mean, if you're talking about IT, you don't need to buy hardware and do that, right? Whether it's us or any other large cloud company has many programs where for university students, anyone who into research, for example, GitHub is a part of Microsoft, the largest developers network in the world, right? We have programs which we can land in universities and vocational institutes and schools for that matter. So we give the compute and the know-how, all that, right? So you don't need to invest in that anymore. We can bring that free of cost in a programmatic way, right? Number three, so that's the platform, right? Number three is the certification, right? So we have, like you said, because you can, I mean, get the universities and anyone, we can bring in the industry flavor, what is in demand, what's the latest technology. You know, it's just a matter of organizing a large-scale event at a university level or at an industry level, at a pan-university level to make sure this. And then we also have the certification programs, meaning now these are, as professionals, you need to go and do that. So through your workplace or through university, maybe in a subsidized scheme, we can come up with a program to get you certified. Those are the 4 areas. But the most important thing, I think, which I brought out is what is relevant when you go out to work is how you can apply this, right? And Professor Lalith pointed out that, you know, thinking and adapting, etc., agility. Imagine Cup, maybe you would have heard. We have had Imagine Cups running in Sri Lanka for a long time. And some of you who are students and, you know, who is on the panel would have experienced that. That's a great way of actually asking students think and improvise and solve a real-time, real-life problem. So we are now going one step before. If you look at it, I think we posted it with the minister. We launched Imagine Cup Junior. So you're not getting into universities only. We are bringing this to even O-level, A-level students. Because this is a thinking, we have to say, hey, what are your problems? Can we get this problem thinking mindset? Because otherwise, you know, you can learn anything under the world, but if you can't apply it, that's the problem. So those are the few areas. And I love the discussion that in the industry, the academia, and then Mr. Dissanayake said we will formally deploy that. We are more than happy to bring these 5 elements into a more programmatic way so that our students can continue to learn and our graduate can continue to professionally upskill themselves, which is the need of the hour. So I was very specific, and these are very clearly programs we can bring it. It's a matter of we as a nation, we as this thing, because when you look at it, you just need a device, right? That device could be a mobile phone because you can learn from anywhere today, or you just need, maybe we need to organize, get together. That's the biggest investment we can do for the country to provide subsidized or a loan scheme for devices, right? Not to probably throw things free of charge because then you value the device, right? And then the bandwidth. I think if you have bandwidth, then software is not an issue. Platforms are not an issue. Knowledge is not an issue. And the education system we have today with all the people around the world helping us, the knowledge sharing is not an issue. So that's where I want to end up. And we are committed to making sure this happens in a organized way in this ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hasitha. I think I must confirm to the audience as well as particularly Mr. Dissanayake, when we talk on offline with Hasitha, this is one of the questions I asked him, and he was even giving commitment, even, you know, that time also, like bringing the expertise and helping at this time, like the AI type of technologies Madu talked about. We know that the MASH and all the technologies are very, very high in Microsoft. So definitely Hasitha was confirming, and thank you, Hasitha, for reaffirming that, because that's a great opportunity for all of us. With that note, I will go probably reverse order, Hasitha. What's the takeaway message for the audience? Give a quick takeaway message from this, because let me bring everyone to the real life. We were talking about, is there a worry? And we said, no, there's no worry. Actually, there's a great opportunity. Do we have everyone ready? Well, we said we are not ready, but we are getting ready and we have plans. does the government and the institutes and the private, public, as well as the industry, are they getting together? Of course, this industry is very well working together. And more importantly, ecosystem partner. I call you ecosystem partner because you have the infrastructure, the knowledge, everything. So entire ecosystem partners are ready to help us. Then the final question was, are we ready to take our intake more? Of course, with this learning system, we can do so. All in all, what I hear is that everyone is ready. So what is your take? What is the takeaway message you would like to give, Hasitha, to the team? Then I go backward to the others as well, to the audience.
I started off talking about the opportunity. See, I think we have a massive opportunity. Let's look at 2030, right? We are in 2030 looking back, right? And I think as a generation, as a country, as a nation, we have, if we throw away this opportunity, we should be looking at in 2030 and say, hey, in 2020, this happened to us, 2019, 20, whatever you call it. And this is how we use that opportunity to turn around ourselves as a nation, as individuals, as organizations. And this is where we are in 2030. And I think that's what we should, as a team, look at it in a little futuristic way. Don't getting scared. The opportunities are everywhere. It's we improvise and figure out how to do that. And if we throw that away, it's a massive opportunity we are throwing away. We have thrown away many opportunities we had in life. Let's get to 2030, right? 10 years down the line, maybe 5 years down the line, turn back and say, hey, we did really use this opportunity and grab it and delivered one. Thank you.
Thank you, Hasitha. Turning to you, Mr. Dissanayake, what is the takeaway message to the audience from you?
First, I join the position of Hasitha, and then this is the transformative decade that we have to face, and I'm so positive because for the first time I see during my 30-year-long public sector career, first time I see this opportunity of working together with the one message from the private sector and the industry, and then technological field, and you don't see the university system the state university system had been transformed into a different attitudes. So this is a momentum that we have built, and we know that students are eagerly waiting for opportunities. And so this is the starting of 2020 is a new decade, and I'm sure that with all this spirit that we are working, it will be COVID will be a turning point for the nation.
Thank you, Mr. Dissanayake. Professor Lalith Gamage, what's the takeaway message from you to the audience? Lalith?
Yeah, sorry, thank you. This is a great opportunity, for the IT industry. I couldn't speak about, the things that we are doing through the ICTA agency, but if you give me the opportunity, I just want to tell you that this is a great opportunity for us because His Excellency himself had been an IT professional, and he places heavy emphasis on information technology. And that is why ICTA agency is given a full mandate to develop the digital economy and the digital government side. So these will create large number of opportunities for both private sector and the educators, right? So my message is actually, the traditional perception about teaching, learning, assessment process has changed, right? And we all talk about, this new normal, which is probably overused term now. But I think what is important for us is, okay, unless we define what this new normal is, right? We might settle into a normal that is not acceptable to us. So I think we have to work hard towards achieving what that new normal is. People will forget things very fast. So we will go back to the original normal. So that is why I think we must not forget this. This is an opportunity. And if we are working towards a new normal, I think we have to all work together to achieve what that new normal is.
Thank you so much, Professor Lalith Gamage. And Dr. Charles, what's your takeaway message to the audience?
Yeah, my message to the students, improve your self-learning capabilities. So that's need to be going to be play a bigger role in your learning. Only way to improve it, say, by learning by yourself and engage in the online learning, improve your self-learning capabilities. Yeah, you need to be prepared. So you are the next generation who's going to in this country to face this the next pandemic. Unfortunately, say you have to be facing it. Say we will be older and we may be in the backside. So that's it. Improve your self-learning capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. Madu, final takeaway message from you.
We are at a curve, right? So my message is think like a race car driver. You know, put the pedal on the accelerator, drift the curve, and seize the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Madu. And just to end up this forum, first, may I thank you, Madu, Mr. Dissanayake, Honorable Secretary for Higher Education, Dr. Charles from Jaffna University, Hasitha from Microsoft, and Professor Lalith Gamage from SLIIT/ICTA for participating in this very valuable discussion. And to end up, I want to say a thing that, you know, people are talking too much about cricket, even this pandemic time, and that's great. People have not lost the momentum, but it's a 2020, year 2020, like you said, Mr. Dissanayake, is a 2020 is a small, short format game. We got only probably, we don't have even 20 overs, we probably have about 10 overs to play. I think let's take the opportunity, let's drift the curve, let's take all the industry together, and this forum even took place remotely. And this, I think, I know the COVID has made a lot of damage to the whole world, but I think it did some good thing for us. And we made reunited to build our nation, reunited to build our infrastructure, reunited to build our capacity. So thank you so much again for organizers, SLASCOM, EDB, FITIS, and the ICTA, and also for the knowledge partners, Microsoft, Virtusa, Pyxle, Ministry of Higher Education, Technology and Innovation, and University of Jaffna, and finally to the media partner, Financial Times. Thank you so much, all the listeners, panelists, once again, thank you so much for your time. Stay safe and well. Have a great, fantastic weekend. Look forward for the next week and a great capacity building program within Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Great.